how to increase your appointment count by 3 to 4 times by getting past the gatekeeper and to the decision maker with this cool trick. I'll tell you how coming up. My name's Ken, and I help struggling outside sales reps digitize their sales approach, get past the gatekeeper, and to the decision maker in a fraction of the time. Hey everybody, it's Ken. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I'd like to tell you a story and then tell you exactly what happened to me and how I was able to triple what I was doing on my appointments and to increase the effectiveness of my time. First of all, here was my problem. I was driving around, using up resources, using up gas, using up valuable time, researching 30 to 35% of my time on the businesses I was visiting to make sure that my product was even relevant for them and that they were the right size and the appropriate type of business. Then I would go and I'd knock on the doors, the traditional cold call. I would call them and let them know I was coming. I was giving them a warning that I was coming and that not to be available. Guys, that may sound like a great strategy. It's not. I would show up and as expected, oh, they're not in right now. Oh, they're in a meeting. Oh, they're gone. Okay, here's my card. Here's my card. Here's my card. I would have 10 business cards in my left pocket. And then I would try to move all those 10 business cards over to my right pocket with somebody else's. That's basically how it worked. I knew that if I did that, I was doing my numbers. I was meeting my activities. Quickly, what happened was sales frustration and burnout set in for me. I was barely making ends meet, barely able to make things work for my family, and it was a crushing blow to my pride. Because I knew that if I could just get in with the client, if I could just get face-to-face with them, I know that I could help them. I know that I could provide a service that was beneficial for them. But all of that was irrelevant. All of that didn't matter until I was able to get past the gatekeeper or able to go straight to the decision maker and get an appointment set up. Just wasn't happening. I would go 10 times a day, knock on businesses. How do I go about getting an appointment with the individual here? How do I go about getting an appointment with the individual responsible for XYZ? Give them a call. Hey, this is Ken again, just calling from company XYZ. I'd love to set up a time to speak with you guys. Over and over and over and over and over, 12 to 15 times per account. It was exhausting and frustrating to the point of tears. One day after just going into a business and being told to leave before I said anything, I'd had it. And instead of shutting down and giving up, I grabbed an iPad out of desperation from my backpack. Actually, wasn't my backpack, from my computer bag. I grabbed an iPad out. I opened up the iPad. And the camera, the video camera on there, horrible quality. This was the iPad mini from 3 years ago. Not great quality, pixelated, it was a mess. And I held it up and I recorded a video. Now in the video, I simply presented a problem that a lot of our clients have. I presented them what happens if that problem isn't solved. And then I provided a solution in about 3 minutes. Man, it was a terrible pitch. I mean, I look back on it now, it was awful. Knowing what I do now and what I've trialed that works, boy, that pitch didn't. But I took it in anyway to my next business that I saw. Took it into the business. I dropped the iPad off and I simply said to the receptionist, I said, I'm hoping you can help me. I don't want to be a time waster. I want to be a solver here for you guys. I don't know if my solution will work for you, but I would rather find out now than to continue to have to come back and bother you guys just to get a yes or a no. If you wouldn't mind, please take this iPad and put it on the desk of the decision maker for XYZ. And I said, before you go, I'd like to put something down on a Post-it note. On a Post-it note, a little pink Post-it note she gave me, I wrote, play me. Pasted it on the front, and I put my business card just under the Post-it note flap, and I handed it off to her. I said, if you don't mind, would you mind just running that to their desk? I'm going to come back and pick it up tomorrow, and because it's an iPad, I just got to make sure I get it back, so if you can, just run that up for me real quick. I would so appreciate it. And surprisingly, this wonderful woman ran up the stairs. You could hear her, run up the stairs, deliver the iPad. And I could hear go, what? What is this? What is this? In the back. What is this? What is this? And I said, oh boy, this didn't work in my head. I was thinking, this is silly. I'm embarrassed. I should just ask for it back and leave. But I stayed committed to it. I said, okay, cool. I said, is it done? She said, yes, they'll watch it when they have a moment. I'm like, okay, cool. I smiled, I thanked them, and I walked out. An hour went by, and I thought, you know what? I just want to call it a day. And I did. It was one of the few times that I have ever just said, I'm done. I'm done. I can't drive another hour. I can't knock on another door. I can't walk into another business cold. I can't go in there and feel like a sleaze bag, even though I know that the service we have, and I believe the service we have is valuable. I'm interrupting their day and I'm messing up their timing. They're not expecting me. It's like having your relatives just drop by all of a sudden and your house is a complete mess. It's just, it's awkward and everybody in there is like, how do I tell this person kindly to just leave? So I was frustrated. I went home. And as I was heading home, I got a call 2 hours later after having dropped that iPad off. And it was the decision maker. And I sat down with him. And he asked me all these questions. He said, I'm so glad you came by. We were looking for somebody to manage our IT. We were looking for somebody to help us with our network. In fact, the company we have right now, we just feel like they're a little too expensive. Our service product was phenomenal. And I knew going into it, the little research that I was able to muster, I knew who it was I was supposed to speak to. Thanks to LinkedIn. And I knew generally about how big the company was. It was about 15 to 20 workstations or employees working in that business. So I knew that it fit the parameter of our business. What I didn't know was how their current IT was managed. Sure enough, I dropped off the iPad and they called me in 2 hours later and I had this meeting with the decision maker. I didn't make one call to this business on a phone. All I did was to research my plan for the day and the businesses I was going to visit. That took 45 minutes of my morning before I headed out in the field. Within a few days, we had a signed agreement for this individual, for this company. I thought, this is amazing. It has to be a fluke. That just has to be a fluke, and I happen to be in the right place at the right time. That might be true. Then, the next week, I went out and I did it again, the same result. I went out, did it again, the same result. People kept responding. So what I did was I went out and I bought 10 iPads, and I said, you know what? Go for broke. Literally. I spent $3,500 on a credit card with like a $4,000 limit to get these iPads. Knowing that, man, I'm probably going to lose some are going to be damaged. And I recorded a terrible video now that I look back on it, pixelated, it was messed up. But the value was there. The value was in the proposition to them. And I was giving them the time to respond and was not asking them to respond on the spot. Guys, that is the current age that we live in. People like to have their time back. They like to receive things quickly, and they like to have time to consume it and think about it. Now, if your client is sitting there at the closing table and they're saying, well, I need to think about it, that is different. You as a salesperson must handle that objection and dig deeper to find where you missed the missing part and why all of a sudden the solution doesn't work for them. More often than not, it's price, by the way. This is different. This was just trying to take something that was a problem for me, just getting appointments, and to increase the rate of the appointments. I was desperate and I needed to do it. So I did it, and it worked. I bought these 10 iPads. I would deliver 10 in the morning. I would deliver, 10, it's just after lunch. I delivered 10 iPads just after lunch. That's what I did. The next morning, I would come back and pick them up. Hey, I'm just dropping these off. Hey, I'm just dropping these off. Hey, I'm just dropping these off. I want to be conscious and aware of your time. Thank you for your time right now. I'm going to head out. Yada, whatever it was. I dropped off the iPads. I would come back the next morning if I hadn't already gotten 2 to 3 phone calls from people saying, yeah, hey, come on back maybe Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Great. Appointment. And then when I would come back to pick up the iPads again, I would say, well, what do they think? Oh, look at the Post-it note. And I'd look at the Post-it note, and sure enough, it would give me an appointment time and set. Or they would call me a few days later. Guys, it was amazing the results that I was seeing. That issue I had where my income even was taking a hit because of the lack of appointment and initiative that I was taking in the right direction changed it completely. I was now doing the same amount of backbreaking activity, but I was seeing far greater results. See, people right now are sitting there and say, how do I do less and get more? How can I do less and get more? The question is, how can we do more and be more effective? How can I do more? How can I get more of my time and be more effective with it? This is that solution. Here's why I think it works. And of the businesses that I've had the chance to go back and re-review with and understand, hey, why did that work? Why did that work? Which I've done. And I actually would love to do a case study on and record those interviews for you. What they told me, probably 8 times, I think, probably 7 or 8 times out of 10, was I was just aware of their time. I wasn't hovering over them. I wasn't trying to push them towards a meeting. See, what I did was I broke up the sales process in a bunch of individual bite-sized pieces. My overarching goal was to close the business. My overarching success as a salesman was to close the business. In order to do that, I had to granularize. I had to focus in. I had to get grainy to this very minute detail of what the process was. My first goal was to get the appointment. Once I got the appointment, I was able to celebrate the fact that I got the appointment. And instead of calling and calling and calling and calling, I cut out half the time that I had already spent for years prior. Cut out half the time, and I was able to get the appointment with less activity. It allowed me to go in and to engage and build a relationship that I know I'm capable of building as a good salesperson. Guys, this works. But there's a strategy in place that you have to use it effectively. It's not going to work every time. There have been times where I've dropped iPads off and never got a call for 2 or 3 days. But it is far better than what we're doing now, where we're constantly going and producing these activities for the sake of having activities. I am so tired of going through and hearing reps go, oh, I'm struggling. I'm in a sales slump. How many calls you make? I made 50 calls today. How many of them were voicemails? Probably 45. Okay, have you followed up with them? No, I haven't followed up with those voicemails yet. It's just too much work. You're right. It is a lot of work to call and call and call and call and call and call and call. What are we doing? We live in an age, in an era now where we have digital consumption that takes up most of our day. Our faces are glued to our phones, to our digital media. Why not use that media to our advantage to get a solution in front of somebody in a unique fashion that is conscious and is aware of their time and how valuable it is? No, you're not going in there in suit and tie and saying, I've got a solution for you. That's not what you're doing. You're going in and immediately providing value. Guys, I'll be teaching on this topic in a couple of weeks during a webinar. If you'd like to join that webinar, please let me know. Message me below. I'll be happy to respond. Get your email address, add you to that chain. We're going to be doing it through our Facebook group as well. Just opened it. I just created the group. So if you haven't, you can go ahead and look it up. It's called the Outside Sales Slump Buster. Okay, the Outside Sales Slump Busters. Come check us out on Facebook. Join the group. Contribute to the group. Pitch your product. We'd love to pick your pitch apart and help you out. Guys, there's so much to do. I'm so excited about what the future holds for this channel and what we can do together to help you get to 3 to 4 times your goal. We'll talk real soon. See ya.